The senator from Nevada.
Mr. President, I would like to extend my congratulations to the senator from North Dakota, of course, for authoring this amendment, which I am a sponsor, but more importantly for speaking out about the Federal Reserve for years. I have sponsored legislation that would call for an audit of the Federal Reserve System. I offer that amendment every year. Every year, the legislation gets nowhere. I think it would be interesting to know about the Federal Reserve. I think we should audit the Federal Reserve. It's taxpayers' money that's being used there, but we don't do that. Senator Dorgan has spoke out on the secrecy of the Federal Reserve System. He's spoken out on the Federal Reserve more than anyone that I know in either body. But even though there is no entity in the world that controls our lives more than the Federal Reserve System, his speeches go unnoticed, I'm sorry to say. People just don't care, it seems, about the Federal Reserve. Maybe it's because it's a subject that isn't very interesting. You know, it's not pornography, it's not murder, it's not an issue that deals with the Wild West, water, grazing. It doesn't deal with issues that we talk about here a lot. But we don't talk enough about the Federal Reserve and the impact it has on our life. So I acknowledge the work that my friend from North Dakota has done on this issue, and I am sorry that his very lucid statements have received very little attention. I was thinking, as the senator from North Dakota was outlining the secrecy of the Federal Reserve System, that maybe what we should do, the Central Intelligence Agency has received a lot of criticism lately of not doing a real good job. One reason maybe is that they're not secret enough in some of the things they do. Maybe we should combine them with the Federal Reserve Board. What the Federal Reserve Board does, nobody knows what they're doing. CIA, it seems that everyone has some idea what they're doing. So maybe we could combine the two. It might not be a bad idea. Mr. President, the Federal Reserve has raised interest rates 6 times since February of 1994. If someone likes this legislation, generally speaking, that is, we're going to try to stop unfunded mandates, then they should love this amendment. If the principle of unfunded mandates being stopped sounds good to senators, then they should jump with joy and run over here and co-sponsor this legislation, because this really overshadows all other unfunded mandates, because these go on all the time. Not only do they affect government because of the money that governments borrow, but it also affects the private sector significantly. There isn't a person that's listening to this debate or could listen to the debate that higher interest rates doesn't impact them. Doesn't matter if they're homeless or they're making a multi-million-dollar transaction on Wall Street as we speak. Higher interest rates affects everybody in this country. And what we're saying is that the Federal Reserve Board would provide a report to Congress and to the President about anticipated costs of changes in interest rates on the public and private sectors. All we're aware of each time the Fed raises interest rates is we pay more. We should have a little more foundation as to what really we do pay. This amendment requires the Fed to prepare a report. This report will detail the costs imposed by interest rate changes within 30 days after the Fed decision to change such rates. The report will include an analysis of the aggregate costs that interest rate changes would impose on federal and state and local governments. We'll provide a cost analysis of interest rate changes on private sector borrowing. This, Mr. President, will allow us to see the increases in borrowing costs for consumers, small businesses, homeowners, and commercial lenders. I am glad that there has been a roll call vote called on this matter. I think it's important, if people are in favor of doing away with unfunded mandates, that they support the largest unfunded mandate we have in America today.